Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Amy. Hi, Juju.
Hi, Annie.
Hey, hey, thank you for being here. There's some other folks who are supposed to be with us. And what am I looking at, Juju? Are you upside down?
No, I don't know where the damn camera is.
Oh, there.
I am
No,
upside down
you
somehow.
are upside down.
How do I fix that?
Huh.
Aliens. I'm like, all right, let me see what the hell. I'll
Your
look it up on my phone.
Okay.
Gosh, I've
They
never
didn't, teach, they didn't teach you that in law school.
seen that happening. Well, thank you guys for coming. I'm so glad that you're all here. Thank you, Annie, for being here.
And next to the start button.
And we have some other folks who are signed up, so hopefully they'll join us.
I'm just gonna check.
Happy to know we are amidst a group of amazing writers, every single one in this pile. And all with great senses of humor as well. I know that for a fact.
I know. I love how you came in just laughing, Juju. I just heard your laughter first. I haven't seen. All I see is New Orleans Saints and laughter. Hear laughter. That's good.
And we've got Stacy.
Look at all those instruments behind you, Annie.
I know. Yeah, I think if I have the instruments, I'll have the chops to play them all.
You have a thin body electric there, right behind your head.
I do. Oh, that's one that needs to be repaired. That's
I don't
big
want
red.
a mirror.
Okay, and I saw Stacy F was front, and let me put you as a gallery view. There we go. There's everybody.
Christine, yeah, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Welcome. Hi, Christine. Welcome. There you are.
Juju's right side up.
I should have cleaned my studio.
It looks fantastic. Awesome. Thanks, you guys, for coming. We are recording, just so you know, and this will be shared. The recording will be shared with everybody that can't make it tonight, and along with all the supporting materials from Annie, songs and ideas and everything.
Jenny, you have what other workshops do you have coming up?
We have a bunch. We have our workshop that we've been doing for a couple of years now we have a poet laureate at Evermore, actually, and her name is Rosemary Watola Tromer. And she is a bereaved mom like me and like our founder and executive director as well. And is just she's a magical person and has the most amazing workshops. And they're all about writing or creating. She calls them invitations to write. And she brings little fun tidbits and her poems and other poets that she loves poems as well. And we workshop those and have really wonderful conversations. We have just a bunch coming up this year with different singer-songwriters. Elizabeth Suggs, who's a dear friend of mine, is doing one called Gift of Your Love. We have, let me look, and I can tell you the rest of them, but because we'll wait just a couple more minutes. I guess if people are rolling in, let's see. We have, in March, we have one with Nancy Grusky, which will be about we're gonna create grief altars, which is a really beautiful idea. And Barry Grant, who is running a workshop about creative writing. She has a really, she's an amazing publicist and author. We're doing the Elegy Project writing workshop with David and Karen, both professors that have this really cool project that they do where they print poems about grief and bereavement and share them with people and keep them posted kind of all over the Boston area. We have a workshop at the end of April with Jolie Hope, who's a singer-songwriter from Nashville. We have Jill Greenbaum, who's going to do art alchemizing ritual and nature and creativity to work with our grief and loss. Jill is an amazing human being. Ashley M. Jones in June, who is the poet laureate of Alabama, amazing person. And yeah, and then ending up with the gift of your love at the end of June, and then a couple more Rosemary workshops to end out the year. So yeah, we have a lot more programming this year than we ever have before, which is really exciting and fun. And we're so glad to have Annie back too. And Rain is here. Yay! Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys all for coming so much. This is being recorded. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Annie. I'm so glad to see all of you here, and I'm so happy that you're here with us tonight. My name is Jenna Kirkpatrick, and I'm the manager of outreach and engagement for Evermore. Evermore is a national nonprofit, and we're based out of Washington, D.C. And for over 10 years, we've worked with Congress, the White House, and multiple federal agencies to advance common sense, human-centered policies, including securing paid bereavement leave for our U.S. Armed Forces. We advocate for meaningful policy change, advance bereavement science, and cultivate innovative programming among communities nationwide. We are honored to host this workshop with my dear friend Annie Wenz tonight. Please visit us at evermore.org to learn more about our mission to make the world a more livable place for all bereaved people. We will also be sharing a special newsletter with you after this workshop called Evermore Voices. It will contain the recording of this workshop and all supporting materials from Annie, and I hope to have that out always by Friday following the workshops. My wish tonight is that the songs and the words shared hold each of you in community and understanding, and together we are here to hold this space. Let's just take a few seconds for some deep breaths in silence to acknowledge all of our precious light and energy. Please join me in offering a very warm welcome to one of my dearest friends and somebody that I taught with at music camp for teens at Kerrville for many, many years and roomed with, and somebody I love with all my heart. Let's give snaps for Annie Wenz. Yay!
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Some of you I know very well. Some of you I know a little. Some of you I don't know. And if you decide to show your faces, we would love to see them. Otherwise, we are totally cool with and respectful with seeing your names and your little emojis. So thank you for being here with us. So yeah, I met, hey, great to see you. So I met Jenna through Kerrville Music Camp. That's how I know Val. And one of the things that I do with my music, besides playing at music festivals, is I use my music for relaxation. I start my shows with my Native American flute because certain sound frequencies, I assume you're all aware that there are certain sound frequencies that just make you breathe and relax. And to me, when I worked as a psychiatric nurse, the doctors would call me and say, "Wenz, why are your patients needing fewer meds?" And it ended up that people were responding to the frequencies of the instrument that I was playing. If you notice, I'm sure you all notice that maybe a cello, maybe a Native American flute, there are certain instruments that just put your brain in the zone, and it's because your brain goes into an alpha wave with certain kinds of sounds. And what I tell people, you know, we've all had different kinds and different levels of loss. And what I find incredibly helpful when I remember to listen to my own advice is, right, when I feel stressed, when I feel the as Jenna talks about, the spiral of loss, you know, you have people saying you'll get over it, or it'll get easier. You know, that's not how grief works. As Jenna says, grief is a spiral. You're going and all of a sudden, boom, it hits you. And you know, the way a person who has obsessive compulsive disorder or anxiety disorder can all of a sudden be sparked by something. And so what I have done, and what I would suggest you all try doing, our olfactory sense is incredibly primitive. And I have had folks smell the scent of, in my case, pure essential oil of lavender, not a synthetic fragrance, but whatever fragrance really makes you happy. You know, chocolate chip cookies, or again, lavender I use because that can tweak your serotonin level within a minute or two and put, you know, and break out your happy chemicals. So what I have folks do, and what I would have you all think about doing, is find something that's a pure fragrance and smell that. And when you smell that, listen to some music that makes you feel, gives you that relaxed feeling. And that would be music that puts your brain waves in that space. So if you are in a place where you are feeling sad, and you know, you don't want to shut your feelings off, you want to acknowledge your feelings, but it can help you to land gently, to go through that process, to do a smell, to listen to a certain music. And I've even told folks then carry a little bag, or I know there are these little, they're called perfumeras, little perfume things that you can actually put a little bit of essential oil in, and then you can give that a little smell, and your brain knows where to go. So that being said, I'm going to play my flute. I'm going to have you close your eyes, and I'm going to do just a little bit of a guided imagery thing. And when I do the guided imagery, you'll notice I bring in different senses, because the more senses you engage when you think about your relaxation exercise, the more your brain just engages. So keep this in mind, just as a stress or anxiety or grief tool. So remember to use a fragrance, listen to a certain music, and picture the guided imagery exercise. And what I do to make it even, give it a little more impact, is I pick a word that I associate with the exercise. So is everybody ready? Okay. I'm going to put my view in a gallery space so I can see everybody. There we go. Okay. So close your eyes, and I'm going to play a little bit, and then I'll do a very brief guided imagery. So keep your eyes closed and picture yourself walking slowly to a place that you always find comforting. Look at the sky, look at the ground, picture the colors. Now think of the fragrance of that place. Smell that fragrance. Feel how the air feels on your arms and your legs and in your hair and your face. if you were to pick a flavor that goes with that space, what does it taste like? What do you hear? Totally be in that space and pick a word for how you feel when you're there. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Let all the troubles and all the things that are bothering you just float up to the sky. Now slowly open your eyes. And join us again. So remember to use that exercise if you think that would be helpful. And again, I always listen to the music and picture myself walking through a place like that with a fragrance so that I can smell the fragrance and my brain knows where to go. So now on to getting ready to write. I know you're all amazing writers, and I'm so glad you're here because we're going to write. And one of my my writing gurus is a woman named Natalie Goldberg. If any of you read Writing Down the Bones or The Wild Mind, Natalie is just amazing. And she talks about when you write, and I notice this when I teach songwriting, people will tell me, I say, tell me about so-and-so. And they tell me these lusciously descriptive stories about their person or their experience, or whether it's a good thing or a traumatic thing. They tell me in huge detail. And then they go to write a song about it. And they say, you filled my soul. You made me whole. The sky was blue and so were you. And they leave out all the juicy details in the story that they just told me. And there's an exercise I actually have people do, but do this with yourself. Make believe you are telling me a story about your beloved person, and write it down, write the details down. But then when you go to write about the person, use the juicy details that you gave me, the colors. Natalie Goldberg gives this example of somebody knocking on a door in a hospital room, and the door has this hollow sound, and she walks in, and there's a woman with these red fluorescent fingernails, and she can see the white hospital gown with the little dots on it, right? I mean, you're picturing that. Those are the kinds of details that make memorable writing. So what I would like you all to do is, if you have a little pad and paper next to you, otherwise it's going to be in the chat, and there are notes in the chat with Evermore. There's I had also put an article about sound frequencies, music and wellness, a great article about guided imagery, and something about aroma and relaxation. But now, just now, Jenna, as in her ultimate wizardry, did you pop that in there? If you look, when you write, go through your senses. What do you see? And I did this in the guided imagery. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you taste? I always go through. I wrote a song about baseball, and I was like, okay, I'm sitting in the bleachers. What did I see? What did I, when you're with, when your beloved person was with us in this on the planet, what were the kinds of things that in that list, see, smell, hear, feel, taste? incorporate those into your writing. So what I would like you all to do is to either write down a very specific event with them, or maybe a list of all the fun things about them or all the memorable things about them, and make a list and use the detail. You know, I love the red bathrobe that they wore, or, you know, when he walked down the dock, his hair was sticking out and he looked like Jesus Christ, you know. I mean, whatever it is that comes to mind, you know. He came up to me and said, I remember when I stood in the end of the rainbow.
All too well.
All too well. So come up with whatever type of list or little story. I'm going to give you, let's see, how many minutes am I going to give you? I'm going to give you 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Oh no, but you're all great writers. So but 10 minutes will be a good amount. So yeah, so I'm going to give you 10 minutes. So that's all the snippets. Remember to be explicit, vivid detail. The more detail, the better. And I think I'm going to cut you loose to do that now for 10 minutes, and I'll shake you back to life when it is, let's see, it is now 7:21, 7:31. We're coming back.
Thank you, Annie.
Okay. So you may want to mute your backgrounds. We have one more minute.
Think you're muted, Annie. Sorry. Can you find your mute?
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, are we back? How did everyone do? You can take your mutes off. Any comments? Was it easy?
Never enough time.
There will be more. I know.
Yeah, good for about 6 more chapters.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, so I meant to play this before, but I think probably better now playing it after. This is just because now we're going to get into how to put it into, if you wanted to try and put it into a song form, or a poem form, not a rhyming poem form. But I'll give an example of something that I wrote about one of our dear, beloved late Kerrville friends. Al Grierson was just, kind of looked like the hippie version of Santa Claus. He always wore a red bandana. He had worked on hitching rides on trains at one point. All the women in his very, very, very long but descriptive, amazing songs, they all had flowers in their hair. And Al was writing to me about how he was he was trying to woo this woman. I'm not sure who it was. Maybe y'all would know. But anyway, he was trying, he had a shine for this woman, and he was in a big rush home from a gig to see this woman. And according to folks, he was such a hopeless romantic, he could fall in love with the woman on the shampoo bottle. And he was in a big rush to get to shampoo woman, and there was a flash flood, and Al was swept away. And when he moved to Texas, he said he moved to an abandoned armadillo farm, and the yellow rose of Texas, he tattooed a yellow rose on his arm. So I wrote all those things in my description of Al. And then it was time for me to try and make it into a song. And so here's the Al song, just to give an example. And you're going to have to forgive me. I jumped back into pottery. I've lost all my fingernails, so I'm trying to finger pick a song. Was that night just like a boxcar flipping through a velvet sky? Was that river like a blanket? Did you open up your eyes? I heard you rode that thunder like a cowboy on a stage. I dreamed that you were singing when you met the holy sage. Oh, shoot the stars. shoot the moon. The keeper of the yellow roses left too soon. There's still satin-slippered ballerinas waiting on the chance for the poet's final dance. Now we've got ashes of some scripture puzzle waiting on rhyme. Hobos in a dining car still waiting on the brine. We've got red bandanas waving to a princess on parade. But the carnival is packing up, it's just a masquerade. Oh, shoot the stars, shoot the moon. The keeper of the yellow roses left too soon. There's still satin-slippered ballerinas waiting on the chance for the poet's final dance. Now I will catch your diamonds as they fall on birds that never land. As the lone coyote calls to gypsies in a trance, and where the goddess sleeps with flowers playing in her hair, I will search the poems for the petals you left there. Oh, shoot the stars, shoot the moon. The keeper of the yellow roses left too soon. There's still satin-slippered ballerinas waiting on the chance for the poet's final dance. So that's an example of how you can get all that stuff into a song. So how many of you have written? Oh, thank you, Rainey. So if you all, those of you who have not shown your faces, feel free to hop in if you'd like. You don't have to again, but you're totally welcome. So how many of you have some of you have written songs? I know. Yeah. Okay, well, it's time. So you can either try and do this in song form or in a rhyme form. So I'm going to give an example, and on this side now, can we put? I had not put in the layout to put the words "to blowing in the wind." Is something that you can do, Jenna?
Sure.
Can you put the words "to blowing in the wind" that I have on our script? So if you you think of the words "to blowing in the wind," how many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? So you've got a rhyme, a rhyme, a rhyme. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. So that is an example. If one of the easiest ways to teach people to write a song is to take an existing song, write down the words, and as you can see, I have underlined how many roads must a wear before you call him a man, blah, 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 sand, blah, 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 blah. So if you can take either something like that or even dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, all the fields we go, laughing all the way. Write down for yourselves. We're going to do an exercise now where we're going to try and take some of what you wrote. You're going to take some little nuggets and you're going to try and write some of it into a rhyming space, into a rhyming pattern. So if you look at blowing in the wind, and you count it as if you're walking. Picture yourself walking. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man? So blah, 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 blah. So, or dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh, all the fields we go, laughing all the way. Whatever you choose to write down just as your little cheater verse from a song. Some say love, it is a river, blah, blah, you know, the road, whatever song you choose, write that down, underline the rhyming bits. And what I would do if I did If I did blowing in the wind, it's man, sand, band are all three similar rhymes. If it was something like jingle bells dashing through the snow, I would underline that straight. In one horse open sleigh, I would underline it jiggly. All the fields we go straight, laughing all the way, I underline it jiggly. That way it shows me that it's lines 1 and 3 rhyme, lines 2 and 4. So A, B, A, B. Does that make sense to everybody? So pick a verse, an easy verse to something that you know, and just try and write a verse. And then for a chorus, the answer is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. I miss you when it's nighttime. I miss you when it's nighttime. Something like that. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions? So what I would like you to do now, let's see, what time do we have? It is 7:41. So we are going to go to, let's see, we're going to go 10 minutes. Is that enough for everyone? You think? 10 minutes? Okay, we're going to go 10 minutes. And, I'm going to give you one example here of how I plugged words into blowing in the wind. How many roads must a man walk down? She used to dance like a dervish in rain. So blah, 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 blah. She used to dance like a dervish in rain. So try and count it out with your beats on the words. See where your beats land on the words. So instead of the verse to blowing in the wind, what I ended up with, she used to dance like a dervish in rain, feeling each drop down her back. She didn't care if her feet missed a beat. She made sure to step in the cracks. She loved the moon and the sun and the stars and watching the sky fade to black. So that all falls into the same rhyme pattern as blowing in the wind. She was the spark in the light up above, the spark in the light up above. So that is totally ripping off the rhyme scheme and the meter pattern to blowing in the wind. So pick something that's an easy song with easy verse, write down 3 lines or 4. Typically it would be 4 lines. I would advise you to do a 4-line, underline where your rhymes are, count out where the blah, 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 and do it like that, blah, 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 blah. And then you take all the stuff in your notes that you wrote and plug something in. She wore a blue shirt. It looks so good, or her eyes, they blah, 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 blah. You ready for me to cut you loose? Okay, 10 minutes. It is 7:43. We're going to come back at 7:53. I'll come back at 7:52 so I can say you've got a minute to wrap it up. Okay, everybody, right on. One more minute. Doesn't mean you can't work on it after this. I can just see two of you, and you sure are looking like you're cranking it out, Juju and Amy. Okay, let's hop back on and unmute yourselves. So can everybody unmute? So how did that feel? Look, Rainy's even got a guitar. Oh, well. So was it easy? Was it hard? Did it feel like it'll start you on a roll? Anybody?
I find it very hard to write rhyming poetry. I tend to write prose and stuff. And I was at a writing workshop back in October off in the Gila wilderness, and Craig Childs, the guy that was putting it on, said, and no offense to poets on this call, he said, those damn poets, they can get away with anything. You know, they can write, they can just go for it and just write anything. And he wasn't talking about rhyming or not rhyming. He just said that they could just do anything and get away with it. But he didn't want us to go there. So I kind of got that. But so I found it hard, but I did work on it.
But it's got to be a good anything. I mean, memorable. You know,
It was, yeah.
Right.
He called it finding the egg yolk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. And I failed to mention, shame on me, many writers use a rhyming dictionary. You know, even if you go through
Or a rhyming phone.
or a rhyming phone. Yeah. I mean, seriously, if you you go through the alphabet like you did before we had all the tools that we have now, but it is totally acceptable the same way we used a verse from another song. I mean, there are some of the most brilliant songwriters on the planet take an existing song and totally write their own words, and then all you do is change the melody, and there you have it. It's not undone, so it's not done. So a rhyming dictionary is and I find that they are really cool stuff you don't think of. So it would absolutely rock my galaxy if any of you who would like to share. I left plenty of time so we could all share. So who'd like to go first and read what they have? And even if it's not yet in song form or rhyme form, whatever you have. If in fact you were not yet able to come up with something that bites you, then just share what you wrote before. So who'd like to go first? All right. Let us have it.
I said I'd go first just because I'm gonna forget the tune if I hear anybody else's tune. So I'm like, get into it first. Okay.
Yay.
upside down, came up to help. Top of the world, rushed a goodbye, lost all our time. There's much I can't remember, much I'd rather not. Memories come floating down this river full of fog. See you tomorrow, thought it would be true. Took things for granted, worth holding on to. Sunset so gorgeous, folding into darkness. Flashing lights, can't unsee them. As much I can't remember, much I'd rather not. Memories come floating down this river full of fog. That's all I got to.
Wow.
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 That was, yeah. See the heart going, see all the hearts? That was gorgeous and moving. And you had me just from the very, very beginning, just your descriptions. I mean, all of the, what do you see? What are they? I mean, all the elements that you brought in, all the senses, your feelings, right? Anybody else want to comment?
So beautiful, Rain.
Beautiful.
I want to hear that.
I feel like I was there with you, for because I kind of was for the part, for knowing what you're singing about and knowing what you're talking about in our beloved space. And yeah, it's just gorgeous, so gorgeous. And I just love your voice, and it was so beautiful that you're so talented. I love you.
And I so look for, promise you will send me that when it's done. That is stunning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you even had some little internal rhymes and you've written before, yeah? Yeah. I can tell.
But I did appreciate the writing prompt going into the lyrics, because I often skip that part, and it really does help me to get more specific, because I am someone who can go into very broad themes with my songwriting. So getting it.
And the specifics are what really, I mean, you think about songs that stick in your head, your favorite songs. It's like the really descriptive, unusual images that stick with us. So, and the people that we've all lost have unique things about them that are specific to them. And, but even though someone's beloved may not have worn the same thing or picked up the same instrument, other people can relate just to the general feeling of the things that we don't have with us anymore. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. More to come. All right. Who's up next?
I'll go.
Mishka.
It really helped to the previous writing to frame a picture and a scene and a moment in my mind. And I worked from that using the framework of Prince and Sinead O'Connor's song, Nothing Compares to You.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Hand on your hip with arms held out. It's the hottest part of the day. I hear your words, but I don't know what it's about. Crows in the trees take my mind away. You go on, and I wish you would give me a pass. Let me wander on my own. Salt on my tongue, a red drop in my glass, as I look at you and try not to groan.
Wow.
Wow. Yay.
So you're all making me cry. And that's
And that's why I can't read mine.
you'll, you're allowed to take sips in between. So if you all notice the bits and in both Rain and Amy's writing, you know, hand on your hip, right? And the red drop in the glass. I mean, those kinds of things were just so the visuals of those, right? What else? What are some of the other images that stuck to y'all?
The crows in the trees.
The
The
salt.
crows, right? The crows in the trees.
Mhm.
Yep.
And not just the image of the crows in the trees, but the whole story, you know, what crows represent to many people, you know. So, wow. I love it. I love it. And you're going to finish that, yeah?
I don't know. I'll think about it.
I'm going to put the squeeze on you. Amy also plays guitar and has a gorgeous voice. So she'll be coughing that up as a song if it's the last thing you do.
It's a bit bittersweet. It brings to mind things that used to irk me.
We all have those, right? And I remember hearing Farron. And I remember the songwriter Farron, kick-ass writer. Farron talked about how it's okay to get emotional while we are delivering our words because we're human, and that's okay. And to you know, bottle that up, it's not great for our personal chemistry. And people, it's okay to be moved. You're human. So okay, we've got, who else would like to?
I'll go, Annie. So I'll start. Let's try here. Devil's
Val?
Backbone, Hill. Am I
Oh,
on
I'm
mute?
sorry. I was just going to say, Val has not written songs, but she is a captivating writer. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Devil's Backbone, Hill Country Dreams, a perfect backdrop to our middle-aged schemes. Turn the page here. I probably should have done that before. Our hearts filled with brilliant grace as we defined our own sacred space. Over the years, our friendship grew. Each conversation we learned anew. The meaning of faith and trust, assured it would last long after we turned to dust.
That was nice. Yay.
Who says you can't do it? You got it.
I know, but I was like, for
Right.
not liking to rhyme, you rhyme really well. Like,
Yeah, hello. And I
Thank you.
love the final and turning to dust. And read the first two lines again.
At the beginning,
Yeah, the very first two.
Devil's Backbone, Hill Country Dreams, a backdrop to our middle-aged schemes.
Wow. Devil's Country. Yeah. That's, yeah, great descriptive stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Back country and back. Nice.
I like how Val that you know, I know who you're writing about too, but like I see this just beautiful, like in three stanzas, you started at the very beginning and then ended with the dust, you know, so it was like it gives me chills. It's like the whole thing was so succinct, which is I think what you know poets try to do is to be as succinct as possible, and I think you did it just beautifully.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, do you feel like you can go on with it and do more? Are you going to keep going?
There might be a little bit more on that one, or it could be a new one that starts
Yeah.
based off of
And
something I wrote back in early January related to Devil's
cool.
Backbone.
Nice. And here, if you were to go expound on it, you know, to pull it out more, to rip off Steve Seskin, who some of us know, you know, I hear a verse with an actual experience someplace you went. You know, when we went to the diner and you drank my coffee, or you spilled the coffee, and little did I know, you know, I'd be spilling tears or whatever. But some now, from because you gave real descriptive stuff and then you talked about the loss, and I would love to see if you continue it, which I would love you to personally, selfishly, to put in something about some memorable experience as another verse. And that's something for, you know, for those of you who are newer at writing a song. You know, you look at how different verses uh, build on each other, or one may be a little more ethereal and one is a little more descriptive. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So Christine, Julie, Stacy, and is there also, is that it, or did Michael leave?
I think Michael left. And Juju?
Okay.
Don't laugh, I'll cry, and I'm horrible at this.
That's
I cry
okay.
constantly. I just have
You can
tears.
take cry break.
Yeah.
It starts with a smile. Get lost in his oceans, the salty Atlantic. It all changes with motions. Doesn't all water feel different? A little musty, a little damp, but also very magnificent. And then he left the room, limping down the hallway with his guitar, his shoulders resolute, his joints not so much. And then we were together till we weren't. Sorry about that.
Oh, Juju, that was gorgeous.
I didn't even mention Standing Under the Rainbow.
That was beautiful. That can you read that again? Because I'm gonna, yeah. Can you read it again? Is that okay?
It starts with a smile. Get lost in his oceans, the salty Atlantic. It all changes with motions. Doesn't all water feel different? A little musty, a little damp, but also very magnificent. And then he left the room, limping down the hallway with his guitar, his shoulders resolute, his joints not so much. And then we were together till we weren't.
Wow.
So just not a lyricist.
Same.
That was spectacular. What I'm loving is everybody's got a little bit different style, and this is all. And I appreciate the and the joints not so much. I mean, and it's done like sometimes when people bring a little, you know, human humor into it, doesn't work, and that totally does, because the way you landed it, it really it's human, you know, until you weren't.
So beautiful. That I saw that in my mind's eye as clear as day. Him walking down the hallway with the guitar and his shoulders resolute, and the way he was standing, and I could smell it from your description of the water, and then the ending. And you, I mean, since you got on tonight, you've been laughing, and your voice came through, and that is what I think is the coolest thing about writing, is that everyone has their individual story to tell, and you told your story so beautifully. And we're not all supposed to write the same. We're supposed to be different and tell our
It
own.
would be boring.
Yeah, right. Love that. Love
He
it.
was much better at this than I will ever be.
Oh, that, you know, he was different.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
that's right.
Right. And I am
Careful,
gonna,
he's right here inside this gold guitar pick.
and when I first met Juju and Dan, it was on Pine Island, and everybody would hang out at the hardware store, which was the best venue in town. And it was an actual hardware store, and the back porch faced the canal, and people would come in and drop the tailgates of their pickup trucks. And some of the best musicians on the planet would come, and they would pass the hat and people made hundreds of dollars. And it was just like this really gnarly island. We're not all in witness protection community. It was this really gnarly crowd.
I
And
still have the sign that says witless protection.
and I met Juju and Dan. They were both wearing tie-dye, and Dan said, I remember I actually stood in the end of the rainbow. And I was like, yeah, okay. But yeah, that was the oceans, the many oceans. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So Julie and Stacy, you preferred not to light up the screen visually, but would you like to read? Can you indicate whether you'd like to read? It would be welcome, but we're fine if you don't. Just let us know if you would like to or not. Can you put in the comments?
Cut and paste it into comments.
Yeah, Stacy was not being on the camera. I wrote, no, that's okay. That's totally fine. Do you feel like either putting what you wrote, typing it into the message, or reading it? That's up to you. So let us know. And if you prefer not to, that's totally okay. But I hope you got something out of this, and we'll continue. We'll write. So
I have one I can share too, Annie.
Yeah.
I wrote, yeah, I'm kind of like Val in that I don't really rhyme at all. And so just getting it all out. I loved just writing and not stopping, which is what I love about these workshops, is just let it go. Just whatever comes out, comes out. And then I was like, okay, now I have to go back and pick through it and try to make it rhyme some way and find these words. And then I kind of always go backwards. I start at the end and then go back to the front because I'm like, what goes before that? And then those words rhyme. So I don't know. I wrote the chorus first. He was quietly thinking of the best way to calm you, reaching your heart, the best way to calm you. He was ivory white skin, muscular smiling, hacky sack balanced on a heel, nose buried in pages of a fantasy, golden compass for all that you feel. His gigantic brown eyes reflected mine, spoken with a true depth of meaning. Directing without a word, his art spoke from quiet thinking.
Beautiful. Oh my God, I can so picture him. His big brown eyes.
Yeah.
And his hacky sack.
Mm-hmm.
He was really
so good at hacky sack.
Right? I know, Rainy. Yeah. Wow. That was just, what do you mean you start backwards? Explain this.
Well, so I took the words like thinking, smiling, meaning, and then I put them at the end, and then I kind of went, and then I went before it with, yeah, and then so I found heal and feel, meaning and thinking, and then I found what I would call the money line or whatever was he was quietly thinking of the best way to calm you, because in my brainstorm, it was about him at Occupy Austin, and they had a little piece of grass, like a little across the street from the city hall where they would all gather, and they called it Ellis Island because when people would be disruptive, they would be sent over there, and Ellis would go over there and try to calm them down, talk to them until they're, and they said he could see in people's hearts and just say the perfect thing to make them calm down and not be upset anymore, and then they would be allowed to come back over. And so I was just thinking about that because I drove by the other day and was telling someone the story of that place, and yeah, so but that story, I haven't written about that story before. So.
You never told me that.
Yeah, no, so it's like a whole new story of thinking.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful way to write about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just, knowing him and how he just had this calming vibe about him,
Totally.
So, wow.
It made my little autistic self happy.
Beautiful.
It's hard to calm me down.
Same.
So Stacy and Julie are preferring that, and that's totally okay. And we are the skill of calming folks down is such a beautiful superpower. Yes, it is. It is. So both Stacy and Julia did not read, but I'm hoping that that this was helpful and that you do write from this. Does anybody have any other like thoughts about the process that you think could be helpful for others? We all learn from this.
I really like the framework idea of using an existing framework to just get you going. Um, I saw James Taylor in an interview on television one time, and he let it slip that he listens to other music while he writes. He listens to other songs. So it just gets the wheels turning. It's
And
not cheating.
no, not at all. And it just, I mean, I remember, gosh, there was a Patty Larkin is just such an amazing songwriter, and there was a song that she wrote that was it was about like fishing folks in Maine, and it was the rhyme pattern was different, and I ripped off the rhyme pattern because I really, I wanted to do something different. And that's another thing that you can do, whether it's songs or poems, look at the form of something that you really, really like, that really grabs you, and just try and replicate that cadence, or even as a songwriter, I challenge myself. Okay, I'm going to write something jazzy today. I'm going to write something more, I'm going to write something like in 3/4 time, or whether it's the tempo. But the other thing, as far as songs, a good song can go in a lot of different grooves. I remember getting a serious stink eye from somebody in folk music world who was very only into singer songwriters. His name was Vic, and he only liked certain kinds. He only liked certain kinds of songs. And I got up at a music conference with a djembe strapped on and sang, "Come gather round people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters are soon you'd be drenched to the bone." And I did a rap version of "Times Are a Changin'." Well, his eyeballs almost said, "What the hell was that?" And I said, "You know what? That's okay. I'm going as me, first of all." And thank you, Stacy. And it's okay to change the grooves on whatever it is that you're writing. Try it in different tempos. I mean, one of the songs that on one of my recordings, I was doing it faster. Hot Metal Sparks on the track, changing from white to blue black, farm fields and phone calls and wheat fields and old rusty pickups. I look, but I'm not turning back. And it was and like a watercolor, I put my palm to the window and your lips to the window pane, and the frosty misty glass, I wrote your name, and like a watercolor you're melting. And I did it like fast, Hot Metal Sparks on the track with kind of a train groove. And when I went into the studio, the guy who was co-producing with me, Jagoda, who was a drummer, and played a lot of really badass grooves, he said, "Play it slow." And I ended up recording it like super slow, like a ballad. And it worked. And so sometimes just jiggling up the meter of what you're writing, whether it's a poem, a song, a spoken word, envision it in a little bit of a different meter that may just tweak it to someplace different. Melting.
Wow, that's
Yeah, that song means an awful lot to me. And if you had played it, if you'd performed it the way you originally conceived of it, it wouldn't have had the same effect on me. Um, that's a song that helped me feel my own grief.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah.
The image of melting, like rain, like a scene seen through a window with raindrops pouring down. Everything looks like it's melting, and I was wondering if I was going to uh, lose the magic of my memories over time.
Hmm. And that is such a common fear with loss. Am I going to lose? Am I going to lose? Right, the first time you wake up and you go, "What did their face look like? Or what did that? What was that expression?" Right? You know, that is a big fear that something will shift. Um,
You're melting.
yeah, and I would like to think that it just changes form. It's not forgotten, it just changes form. It becomes richer in a different way. Does that what's your all's experience?
Grief ripens over time.
I'm still team the half-light of Grease is eternity.
Well, and as you know, there's the numb period, and then there's the for folks who've lost someone, everybody here has lost someone very, very close to them. And there are many who say, "Oh, the first year is the hardest." Well, sometimes it's not, because you're numb, and that's how you protect yourself, right? And I know, like with Val, Mary is just recent, just a very, 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 very recent, and
yeah. So I have no idea what this looks like other than what it looks like right now.
right, yeah.
That
Yeah.
pretty much is how it stays, I think. It's a roller coaster, not a straight line. I mean, even Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said she was wrong.
Mm.
Bitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oopsie.
She didn't mean the things the way that they were taken, that's for sure. Yeah, Val and I were just talking about this last night, that grief is as individual as a fingerprint for everyone. I mean, I was numb, but I think that was the way that I could survive the sudden death of my son, and then about 2 years in is when the really acute grief came to me, and anger and all these other emotions and and to go back to memories and stuff. I remember the first time that my daughter said to me she couldn't remember her brother's laugh, and that just struck me so hardcore. I was like, I would like to, I wanted to explain it, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like he was we didn't video all the time. We didn't even have phones, when he was
Yeah.
like, I didn't do that, So I was like, gosh.
I have thousands of hours of video and music performances, and I am so lucky.
Yeah, I was very lucky for sure.
And it's also, as I mentioned earlier, you do your own journey. You're going to have people saying, this is how it should go, or this is, you're feel this or don't feel that. It's like when somebody, my a friend that I know through writing, Scott Taylor, he was a minister, and I met him through the song school out in Colorado, and he had was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he said, You know what you say when somebody tells you, I have cancer? And again, he was a minister. He said, you say, well, that sucks, because rather than say, oh, you've got the good kind, or, oh, blah, 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 you to blow rosebuds up, it's, it, and it's the same with death, with grief, with loss, to tell somebody for your comfort, this is how you should ride it. Let yourself feel what you feel. You're going to have, and, Jenna, when I had my loss of my world after a horrible hurricane, and I know Juju's been through numerous hurricanes. Val also helped clean up all
more
of you.
hurricanes.
Amy's, all of, actually every single one of us, that I'm not sure about Stacy and Julie, where y'all live, but those of us who've lived in Florida and Texas have been through. And, there are people who say, for their comfort, you'll get over it. And you have to allow yourself to feel what you have to
I'm
feel.
afraid of rain.
Yeah. And my comfort word that I associate with my relaxation exercise is water. Go figure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But a doctor that I knew, I remember her telling me about a study where they studied people's tears and the chemistry of tears. And there is different chemistry in tears of joy, tears of sadness, and what that says to me is, you don't hold your tears in. You have to let it go. And just we're getting close to when we should be wrapping it up, but I would like to say that I really hope that the exercise in the beginning is helpful, the music, smelling something when you listen to music, and do some kind of a relaxation thing, not to shut off your emotions, but to help you land when you're ready. And then writing is really helpful. That's another way. It's like tears. You keep your tears in, you write your words down. They're like your tears. And it's really important for us to be able to get that out and to express the love, the loss, the joy. And like Jenna said, it's a spiral. Juju said it's a roller coaster. It's all of that, and it's whether it's a spouse, whether it's a mom, whether it's a son or a daughter, or it all hurts, and none of us get out of this alive, but
I'm immortal.
We all are left with having to
so far.
Yeah. And we're all
Annie, you were instrumental in allowing me to continue to write after the flood in Kerr County, Texas. Because you told me not to sugarcoat it, and I wasn't, but there are people that just couldn't handle reading, and I was very public about it. I threw all that out on the Facebook machine, and but Annie got with me behind the scenes and said, keep it coming, let it go, don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
And the reason I said that was because I was traumatized by washing, my house washing away. And not the whole house, but I mean, 3 feet of water running through my world and leaving it just devastated. It was like Anne's place. And I just needed to grieve, and people felt the need to go, but look, there's a rosebud I see in the corner in your, or there's a blade of grass coming up.
Yeah.
And folks do that with death. They do that with trauma. They mean well, bless their hearts, but right. But it's still important to honor your own stuff. And it's important for us to let ourselves and to let those around us express the grief, And I remember Tom Prasad around when he was dying, our dear friend Tom, he said, sometimes it's hard for me because he wanted to allow people to go on his death journey with him. He had cancer. And he said, but sometimes people want me to be, they want me to be happy for them. I feel like I should be zippy for them.
Yeah.
And it's other people's comfort. And sometimes it's okay, especially when we're grieving, to take care of our own comfort needs, you know.
Thank you, Annie.
So
Thank you guys all for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry we went over just a little bit, but I didn't want to cut off that amazing conversation. And I will be sending out a newsletter hopefully by this Friday that will have yeah, all the information that we shared tonight, the links to all the stuff, so you don't have to copy that or anything. And yeah, y'all stay in touch with me, Jenna at evermore.org. And I don't know if you want to say anything, Annie. I think I have some more stuff I'm supposed to put in the chat, but I can just send it in.
Do you guys want copies of what we wrote for the files part?
You could absolutely send me copies if you'd like. I'll put my here's my email address in there too. Yep.
it's just, I would just like to say thank you all. I loved what every single one of you wrote, and Julie and Stacy, I hope you've got some writing out of this, and I hope everybody keeps it going. And I am always reachable, Annie at anniewenz.com. Please, please reach out. And thank you so much for cracking open your hearts and for being here. I know I specifically reached out to some of you, and I really, really, really would love for you to join us. It'll be special. So it was a really special group, and I'm really, really grateful. And thank you, Jenna, for Evermore, for all you do.
Of course, y'all. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Both very much.
Thank you all.
Guys.
Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Be blessed.